Alofa kia ora, welcome to Coco Sports Talk with me and
Ash. This episode we will be talking to two people about the upcoming NFL. But before then, what's happening in the headlines?
legendary Samoan heavyweight boxer Toa David Tua. He was inducted into the US National Boxing Hall of Fame last Sunday in Los Angeles. Due to COVID, the class of 2020 and 2021, they were all inducted together with the class of 2022. So in his class he had Sugar Ray Leonard and Laila Ali, who are like world famous boxers anyway.
It's so nice.
Well.
It's so nice to actually have him be acknowledged in that space.
Yeah,
it's a huge thing, and also I really enjoy his Instagram at the moment and his journey to
fitness and health and stuff. Yeah,
I'm glad. That's cool.
Yeah.
In other headlines, the Johns brothers, so Matty and Andrew, have supposedly reported that they might be coaching Samoa.
Well, myself and Matthew have put our hands up to coach Samoa, and we'll do it for nothing.
So the current coach, Matt Parrish, is apparently supposed to be stepping down, but something that is happening is Samoa will be taking on the Cook Islands at a mid-season test, I think on the 25th of June?
25th of June.
25th of June, and so that's something to look out for. And now we have Kelly, aka Chimes, aka Calum, pronounced Calum, talking to us about the NFL draft and who we should be looking out for this year. This is also his 49ers jersey, and I'm wearing my Mark Andrews / Mandrews shirt because this is an NFL draft episode.
Hello, my name is Calum Niuafe. Father's from Vaini and mum's from Pasifika, and I support the San Francisco 49ers. This year I'll be looking out for offensive tackle Daniel Fa'alele. He's a beast. He's 6'9", so he's even taller than Penina's sons. He's about 375 pounds, about 170 odd kgs. He's only been playing for a few years since he was a late bloomer. Only got introduced to the game in late high school. But even though he's such a mountain of a man, he's got really quick feet. He's a great athlete. So he's projected to go anywhere in the early second round, maybe late first. But yeah, he's someone that with all that potential, hopefully has a similar trajectory to Jordan Mailata, the offensive tackle from the Philadelphia Eagles. Shouts to Chris Pule. Yeah, so the offensive tackle, they're either on the left or far right side of the offensive line. Their primary job is to protect the quarterback with pass blocking or to run block for the running back. And they're usually the highest paid offensive players on the line, because they're usually protecting the quarterback's backside, or the blind side rather. It depends, because if he goes early second, that's usually a team that hasn't done too well. So they've got a losing record in the league. But I think he's someone that will probably take a few years to develop because he's still so raw. Still young, still living the game. But if he does put it all together, I think he can be another star player like Jordan Mailata. I think it's going to be a huge year for quarterback Tua Tagovailoa from the Miami Dolphins. He hasn't exactly set the NFL world alight so far in his career, partly because of inconsistent play, injuries, in an environment where his head coach, who got fired, didn't really believe in him. But that's all changed. So he's got a new head coach. He used to be the 49ers offensive coordinator, so he's good. Mike McDaniel. They've got a new offensive line. They traded for one of the best wide receivers in the league, Tyreek Hill. And all that together, new coach, O-line, and the best weapons that he's ever had in his career. I'm expecting a huge bounce back year for him. So pretty much the best year of his career. Yeah, I think Juju Smith-Schuster, the last couple of years he's been hampered by injury, but he's no longer a Pittsburgh Steeler. He's now with the Chiefs. So he's gonna have the best offense and quarterback that he's ever played for. Sorry to Steelers fans, with Patty Mahomes. And I think in an environment where they're gonna feature him properly, he's not maybe a true number one receiver, but Andy Reid will put him in the slot where he can go against, in the middle of the field. He can roam a bit, and once the ball's in his hands, he can always do the damage. Yeah, my favorite Pasifika player of all time is Troy Polamalu. I think that's a lot of people's favorite players, especially in our generation. But the main reason is because he was just such an awesome, dominant player. Like, he was a physical freak. Not the biggest guy, he's about like 5'10", but he was so strong, so fast, so explosive. And he combined all that athleticism with such high football IQ. Like, his instincts and ability to read the game, which is what made him one of the best safeties of all time. So, you know, he could impact the game in so many ways, as I'm sure you know, being a Ravens fan, like your partner Jizza. And yeah, like, he's not just one of the best Polynesian players of all time, he's one of the best football players of all time. Yeah, growing up in New Zealand, I always loved rugby, you know, watching and playing. But when I first was exposed to American sports, starting with NBA and NFL, you know, it drew me straight away. I think not only were the athletes and the game itself really cool to watch, but it was the way that the Americans presented the sport, like that real sleek presentation. You know, Americans, they really do it big, and then they incorporate that with the analysts and the stats, which I really like. So it really, you know, is one of the reasons why it's still my favorite sport today. Just I love the product, I love how they play, but then how they present it and incorporate it with stats and now fantasy sports as well. Well, a cool stat is last year there was, I think he's in his 40s, a Tongan quarterback called Tomasi Brady. He threw for over 5,000 yards last year, which is amazing, right? Because he's even older than me and Penina. But yeah, Tongan quarterback Tomasi Brady from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
So we're also going to talk to Epenesa Pakola, and she's going to talk to us about the college football scene over there, because it's massive, and just how it's real important, like, for kids to get into the right college, to be able to get drafted and things like that.
Here in the United States, we call it college football, right? But in New Zealand or Australia, it might college is referred to as a high school. Like, I went to Araric College, right? So that's a high school. So college here is a university. So that's what college football is. And it's huge because that's where athletes go and play the sport that they like, with the hopes to go to the next level, and to play professionally. So that's why it's huge for athletes here to play college football, especially college football, because that's really your only ticket into the NFL. Okay, so if your ultimate goal is to go to the draft, the best way is to go play Division I football at a college level. Now, there are rare occasions, like, you know, some of the New Zealand guys that, you know, from rugby that get drafted, so they get invited to a tryout or whatever. So that's very rare, but the majority, I would say like 99% of getting drafted into the NFL is through college football. So it's important, if you want to go that route, you have to go to I would recommend a really good football program in high school. So you start in high school, right? And then from there, you start to build your resume, so to speak, so that you can also get recruited into a good college, and preferably a Division I college, so that you're scouted by the NFL scouts. And then, yeah, that's the process. In your junior year, like whatever stage you are, whether you're redshirt, sophomore or whatever, or junior, it's 3 years. You have to be in college for 3 years. Yeah, combine invitation, or just a team tryout that they're having, and they're opening it to new players from whatever background. So then they'll bring them in. The challenging thing when they do that is that with like college football players that are already playing in the season, you get to see how they are during the game. So you get to watch game film, like how they respond to the offense and the defense, because there's only so much you can see from somebody who runs fast. You know, they can run really fast in the open field, but then come put some defenders in front of them, you know, it could be a whole different game. So that's the challenge of recruiting that way. The COVID year was a real weird season. I think it was the shortest season ever. Teams were playing 7 to 8 games for the entire season. And so with that, there was a courtesy for all the players during that year that you get one extra year. So there's a lot of players that are not declaring in the draft this year that may have in previous, if COVID didn't happen, because they're going to take advantage of that extra COVID year. that they were granted. USC, I think, is big there in New Zealand, right? USC, Stanford, Notre Dame, Alabama, Georgia. So pretty much the schools I think that you will televise, like especially when they go into national championships. Oregon, I'm sure you have some players that you know of in Oregon, like Marcus Mariota.
Yeah.
USC, there's a lot. UCLA is big too. Yeah. So
Okay.
Did you hear Lee? He's like, USC is mostly the poly kids. So I think, like even my brother, he's a big time USC fan because of the demographic of Polynesians in there and Polamalu. So really, I think any Polynesian that played college ball would probably be more popular in New Zealand. Their college becomes more popular. Some of the Polynesians that we are seeing that have declared for the draft is Niuafe Sewell out of Utah, Cyrus Habibi-Likio. He used to be at Oregon, University of Oregon, and then he transferred to Boise. So he's in the draft. It'd be interesting if we see more Polynesians come up in the draft because I didn't see a lot of names when we're looking at the watch list. But it was kind of exciting to see some of the guys that we went through the recruiting process through. Like, hey, some of them are predicted to go first round. So that's exciting. So I love watching the draft because I've met a lot of families through this process. So yeah.
Probably ties in really well actually for like a fun fact. So like the U of A, University of Auckland senior lecturer Lisa Ukaresa has just released her novel titled Gridiron Capital, and it touches on basically her research covers the exploitation and the commodification of actual PI athletes, namely Samoan men from the American Samoa into the US around Gridiron.
And now we have our round of reckons with Ms. Ash.
Our round of reckons this week is, yes, the Johns brothers potentially coaching Samoa Rugby League is huge in terms of bringing all of their knowledge to the game and everything else. We're talking about it, everyone else is talking about it, so sponsors and potentially all that aspect. The only thing that I worry about is I hope while they're there, we milk them, not only that we not pay them, but we milk them for a succession plan so that once they do decide to leave, if there are any Samoan coaches that would like to take their position, that they're also actually given the opportunity to learn from two of the best players. And coach. No, he does coach New South Wales, yes. So I think we also need to think about the succession plan before the Johns brothers decide to go back to surf in their luxury resorts in Samoa. What do you reckon, Penina?
I reckon, but I'm also just excited that the Johns brothers are going to hopefully, please come and coach Samoa. Shout out to one of our YouTube followers, Mike Robertson, who put us onto this. So when we talked about the NBA playoffs and we'd mentioned Stephen Adams, who is Tongan, and Paddy Mills, who is Torres Strait Islander, he also mentioned I'm not sure how to pronounce it, sorry, Daishen Nix?
For the Rockets.
For the Houston Rockets, yeah. They didn't make the playoffs, but at least we know there's another Pasifika player in the NBA we can look out for next season.
All because Mikey commented. So, that's so awesome. Thank you. So, that's another wrap of Coco Sports Talk with
Me
and Ash. Remember, if you've got anything that you would like to give us some feedback down below, just like our buddy Mikey Robertson.
He put us on.
He gave us Daishen Nix, who we didn't know about in the NBA. So if you want to do something like that too, please comment and subscribe. You know the deal.